All right, everybody. We have, following on the heels of the 20th annual Westchester Film Fest that just happened last week. What a great time. I wish I could have explored not just Friday night, because now I know what the Friday night thing is like, and that's fun. I wish I would have had cleared my schedule more for Saturday and Sunday things. There's like the horror block I wish I could have gone to, and then there was some other things. Like, I am not an actor, I'm not a director, I'm not into film making, but it is very interesting, and there's a lot of interesting people. I am into storytelling. So three guys walk into a bar. No, I'm just kidding. So storytelling is really cool. I love, I'm a kid that grew up from the 70s and the 80s, and so I watched a lot of, I guess, am I Gen X? Is that what I am, Eric?
I think so, yeah.
I think so, right? So I watched a lot of television. So there's a lot of things that influence my interests and
yeah, you're Gen X.
My imagination. I think it's how my brain works. But so following on the heels of the 20th annual Westchester Film Festival, we are sitting in studio today. I love in studio stuff. It's so much better. With Chris and Max Benner. Yes, they are related. We can talk about that and how they're related. Or are they? They just have the same last name. Are they going to fight over who gets the better name? I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, Chris and Max Benner. I met Mr. Chris Benner, who is of Bitchin' Productions, because he put out a thing on the interwebs. I think it was a Facebook community post. He was like looking for actors or people to be in this film he was going to make. And I was like, ooh, all right, cool. Now, this would fallen off the heels of last year. Went to the film fest. I met Mike Zalomi. And, of course, we had him in and Frederick Taylor. And then we had Terrell Dorsey in, who was getting ready to film his next horror film. And, they're all local Chester County people with ties here to Chester County and doing things here in Chester County. So, of course, there's the interest there. And so I saw Chris post this thing. I don't know. Did you send it to me? I feel like somebody sent it to me. I don't feel like I came across it myself.
I listened to one on the tunnels.
All right, maybe that's it. I don't know. But maybe that led to the conversation then, and then I saw the other one. Maybe it just started, the algorithms. Big Brother was like, oh, you are now into acting and film stuff, so we will send you more things. And so I got to, I applied. I was like, hey, I'll be in a film. And so we met, and then I got to be a part of his film, which is Bulletproof Baby 2025. You can look it up on Instagram. It's on the YouTubes. Several awards have been. Chris, do you have a list? I should have told you. Bring an entire list. I want you to read the list of awards that you have won for this film.
For the awards, we won Best Director at the International Film Festival of Hawaii, and we've won...
You won Best Director.
I won Best Director.
Thank
you very much.
Hold studio audience. Come on. Let's go. Let's hear it. Very good. All right, calm down, everybody.
And then we also won Best Comedic Short at the Tennessee Film Festival. But a lot of the festivals that we're in, we are... Like, as of yesterday, we're semifinalists in the San Jose International Film Festival.
I saw that.
Yeah. And we're like finalists in a European circuit and semifinalists and finalists in different places. But we've only actually won 2 awards so far.
Well, still, 2 is better than 1. And 1 is better than none. So I'll take it. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's to be cool. It was really cool to be a part of your project, number one. It was cool to meet you. I met people that I probably would not ever come across in my normal everyday life because I literally just am at home. I go to the gym. I deal with people from my gym, and that's a community that is constantly needs churning and nurturing and things like that. So it's like to get outside and do something like completely outside of that realm was really cool for me to do, because it's like, I don't know, nobody's there being like, hey, Steve, my elbow hurts, or what should I do about that, or, oh, this workout sucks. You know what I mean? It wasn't like anything like that. It was just like a normal dude. Not really, but I was like the old guy, right, with a bunch of young cats who were into like acting and theater and directing and all that kind of stuff. And it's so much fun. So that's Chris's story. And then sitting alongside of you, Max, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Max Benner, and I also do film stuff.
Now, Max, you have an interesting story because you won. We talked about this in our interview. You won when you were in high school. What high school did you go to?
Ruston High School. And you won an award at WHYY. And what was that for again? I got first place in the narrative category.
Narrative category of they have a film festival? Or some kind of thing?
Yeah, WHYY with PBS has a festival specifically for people 18 and younger.
Okay. So that's pretty cool. I remember seeing this little like trophy sitting on like the thing when we were like in the filming area, the place we were filming. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like cool. Anyway. So, gentlemen, how was Film Festival? How did the Film Festival treat you both?
Oh, it was great. I mainly just saw the block on the afternoon of Saturday.
Okay. You didn't stick around Friday night?
No. We hobnobbed. That's more Max's thing. I kind of hide. But then Saturday, during the 2 p.m. shows, they played his. And, man, there were some really good ones on Saturday. It was impressive.
I wish there was a way, and maybe there is, and I just don't know it. I want to go back and see all those things. I want there to be like we're going to show it again if you missed it kind of thing. Like I know on Mondays at the Uptown Theater, by the way, the Westchester Film Festival was held at the Uptown Theater. I know they have is it Monday night, Eric? Is it Monday night they do films or Tuesday?
Yeah, like $5 movie night.
Yeah, it's like $5 movie night. I wish they would do like a run through again because I really, again, these aren't going to be on Netflix probably. Maybe some will. Hope, God willing, whatever, universe willing, whatever you believe in. That would be cool, but probably not. And there's shorts, right? So some of them are on YouTube and you could kind of access, but I'd have to run through. I wish there was something like a PDF file that's like, here's these films that we had. Here's where you could see them. And then, I don't know. Chris, maybe you should talk to them over there and be like, hey, why don't we have some kind of library that people in the film festival, then we upload this thing and we have our own channel on YouTube and you can access it. Maybe it's behind a paywall. And there's another way they can make some money. Hello, Uptown Theater? Hello? Come on, it's 2026. I love going to the movies and seeing a film. There's something about it that's way different than sitting on your couch and scrolling. We were talking about this morning, this idea of leaning into comfort. I think there's something about getting your butt out of the chair, going to the theater, and seeing it, and you're with people from all walks of life, so you got to deal with them. Some of that's good, some of that's bad. There's the people that talk, and you're like, shut up, lady, that want to talk through the whole thing. But to me, I get engrossed. It's, the sound is, I'm not going to produce that in my home. Big screen, you see things differently, I think. There's just the experience of it, as we were talking about also earlier in the morning. But I think that they should do that. They should have a re-showing, a way to go back and look at it, and a way to go back for the shut-ins that they can go and see all these films. There should be I think that's a great idea. Write that down, Eric. Write that down. Have our people call their people.
Make it happen.
Yeah, make that happen. All right, anyway. So Saturday, how about you, Max? Did you stay Friday night and see any of the films Friday night?
No, we just went to the opening ceremony.
All right. I mean, that was the big deal, right? That's the big, I don't know, you kind of get celebrated as a filmmaker or submitting a film and things like that, so I think it's pretty cool. I think it's cool. We mentioned this when I was bringing you in this morning. The idea of getting to network, right? That's a big part of Film Festival because not only are they showing these films, it creates this platform for filmmakers like yourselves to say, hey, here's my work. And it takes money. and time. Like if you want to get people to come in and act, like Chris, man, you like fed us, and gave us adult beverages.
Yeah, it's like half the fun is we just slowly drink until the last shot is unusable.
Yeah, so I think there's like, I don't know, but I know like it costs money unless you're doing it for fun, and then it's like, oh, it's only a half an hour, but somebody's got to edit, and then there's like, that's a lot of work. I know for me as an old curmudgeon, just trying to edit some stupid TikTok thing for my gym that's going to be 15 seconds. Like I've wasted hours trying to be like, oh, I've got to get like the song isn't right. And I know that nobody's really, there's jokes about that on the internet. Like, hey, listen, nobody really gives a crap about the song, but you do in the creative process. That's part of the fun about it for me. But it's like it takes, as the more reps you get, the better you get at these things. But it costs money and time, and so the longer a project is, the bigger it is. I think the more investment of time and resources, and it's great if you can get a squad of people that are like, yeah, this is just fun, let's do it. But how sustainable is that without funding and things? And I think that's what it comes down to, right? Is like, here's what I'm doing, here's what I like to do, a flavor of my creativity, and then so maybe somebody comes along and sees this and then goes, hey, I like that, I want to do the big thing. Have you guys known of anybody or had that experience yourself from something like this? Or do they talk about that? Is that one of the blocks? I don't know.
At the film festival, I don't know. They did have blocks where they would discuss stuff like this, but it's funny because this is exactly kind of the things that we're going through. Mm-hmm. You were part of the reading for Ridley a Winner that we wrote. That was a full-length movie that we were going to try and produce, but it ended up costing too much. We couldn't get funding. And the idea was then to make more things that were easy and cheaper, and we built a whole new camera so that we could show something to then get funding, just like you're talking about. I mean, I wish there was a block because we're always looking for funding, and we could use all the advice we could, find. Really. All
right, write that down, Eric. Next year, Uptown Theater. Yeah, I think it's important because there is, I have said this many times here on the show, there is the artist and the bean counter. Right? And the artist goes, hey, I want to, here's my vision, and how do we create that? And, well, yeah, I want explosions, and I want to wreck these cars, and, well, somebody's got to buy the car. And so the bean counter's got to come in and go, well, listen, we can't get a 66 Cherry Nova that you're going to wreck. How about, but I did find this Yugo, and we're going to have to push it because it doesn't even have an engine. So, you know what I mean? Like, so, well, that changes the vision. Mm-hmm. So, and there's a need for both of those things. So I think that's an important part, right, is where we don't lose the creativity, but yet, and so there's lots of like, there's that's where you hear these rally cries of like, well, we've got to save the arts, we've got to fund these programs. And where other people who are like, I don't know, do I need millions of, is this what I'm really trying to save here? But I think that's the important part of getting to things like this and being in different communities and seeing these different things. Otherwise, you're going to get some, weird crap generated, and it becomes like the same old stuff, right? I mean, it becomes the formula for the sitcom, and then they all start to look the same until somebody steps outside of the box and does some new weird stuff. But like, how does that happen? Well, because somebody at somewhere sees the value of it and goes, oh, I can make some money off of that. I know how to do that. I think that's, we need advertisers on here, right, Eric?
Yeah.
So, that way I could get a salary. That would be cool. I could get a raise. I heard this year they're going to double my salary though. Mm-hmm. So
0 to 0.
0 times 2 is still 0. Oh, wah wah wah. Max, let's talk about you. Mm-hmm. How old are you?
I'm 20.
You're 20. Not even able to drink yet. Take that drink away from him. When did you start filmmaking or thinking about filmmaking?
I started to get into it in middle school. At first, I wanted to do more animation stuff because I realized, well, somebody has to make the cartoons. But in watching more movies during the pandemic, I saw how beautiful and immersive film can be, and I was like, this is what I need to do. So probably 14 was when I really knew.
Okay. And was there, did you have, a class at school that, did things like that? I never had filmmaking class in my high school, but we did have home ec. So I got to make a really cool pillow that looked like a walrus, I think. Did you have some type of class? I mean, there was the AV squad. So when I was, back when they rolled the stone away from the front of the cave and let me out to go to school, they had the AV crew, right? They were the dudes who were move the projectors around and stuff. But they would also be involved in the school productions, plays and musicals and things like that. I would think that now high schools have they have their morning announcements. I mean, some high schools are big enough they have their own radio show / TV show that they show in school, hi, I'm Max Benner, and today at Ruston High School it's going to be rainy. I've seen some things like that. Did they have something like that?
Yeah, they had 4 years of video production classes.
Okay.
I started taking it my sophomore year, so I got to do 3 years of that. They also have a broadcasting class as well.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, you went to college for broadcasting.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that technically your degree in broadcasting?
Media, but yeah,
Media.
Some of the video production classes I had were during COVID, so it was all right, shoot this with your iPhone. So it was a lot different.
I mean, I've seen some really crazy things you can do with just a phone. I mean, it is quite honestly, I'm amazed. I'm like, man, that is amazing. But right, there's other things. There's people that are more purists, I guess. They're like, no, it must be on film.
Yeah.
With their long cigarette holders. That's neither of you guys. Chris, you're really quiet over there, dude. This is radio. You got to get in the ring here. Put your gloves on. Chris, how did you get started in filmmaking?
When I was a kid, I always wanted to be an actor, so I took acting classes before I could read, I remember. And then eventually I realized everybody was going to be an actor and nobody gave me a chance, so I started writing. And then I wrote movies for a long time when I was a teenager and realized that everybody had a script and wanted to write movies and thought they could. So then I was like, nobody's ever going to use this or look. So then I started writing books and wrote all these books. And I was like, what I'll do is I'll write all these books and eventually I'll sell the rights to them as a movie. And I'll be like, you have to put me in some cast role somewhere. And then eventually I was just like, I just might as well write and direct movies, fund it myself.
So you wanted to be an actor first?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you did acting classes. At what age was that? You said before you could read, so that's pretty young.
I'm thinking 4th grade, I think, is when I started. I remember that I would be behind the curtain and people would have to tell me what my lines were because I didn't know how to read yet. So I think I could read before 4th grade. So it was somewhere around there, though. I remember I used to have people behind me kind of telling me the lines and things and helping me out. And I did that for, even in high school, I was in plays and stuff. So I always loved acting probably the most. But now I feel like as a director, I feel the most comfortable. Like I'm telling a story. And that's really where I feel like my heart is now after all these years of writing and writing and writing.
Yeah. Well, I think they all develop each other in different ways, right? Knowing, when I used to work in construction, it's a very different scene if you're just the framer, the guy who puts up the skeleton of a house. And then I worked for a plumber, and then worked with a guy. And so there's always this fun thing of once the skeleton of the house is up, who gets to put their stuff in next? Well, wire is pretty malleable, and you can wind it around all kinds of things. So, electrician always comes last. There was this idea of, duct work is bigger, or no, the plumbing guy gets to do, and it was always funny. It was very territorial. I remember one time I had a boss. He literally took a hammer because, the duct guy ran his duct work where he was going to run his This was new residential construction, and he ran where his pipes were supposed to go, and he literally took a hammer and just beat the crap out of this metal ductwork. Not like, hey, how do we work around? He was just furious and lowbrow, and just went and just destroyed all this stuff. Like, no, me, put pipe in here, you bad. And it was this weird thing because you're like, oh, right, I'm on the plumbing team. But I remember thinking, like, what? This doesn't seem right to me. But getting back to, like, what it taught me, that whole process was like, oh, you have to think a few steps ahead to get to this final project, right? Like, if I'm the guy who's building the skeleton and the drywall guy comes in, he goes, well, there should be a thing here to screw my drywall to. Now there's not, and that makes it weird and crappy and not good, for lack of better explain, because nobody cares about drywall. Does that make sense? So I could see how this development of, hey, I'm the guy who's acting, I'm delivering the lines. Now I'm the guy who's writing the lines. Now I'm the guy who's capturing the lines. What a process. I think I could tell when you were directing. I think that's an important piece of directing is, well, I've got to know some acting stuff. And maybe that's where some conflict comes in between directors and actors. It's like, well, I don't know, are you an actor? And it's like how you would direct the crew to be like, no, the line should be more like this. That's your vision. Because you're not only capturing it, you know what you want it to look like. Right? It's not your perspective of this story, like somebody who writes a screenplay and then they turn it over to a director, and a director goes, well, I see it more like this. This is how I would envision it. So that's always an interesting dynamic that I don't think a lot of people maybe explore in the end user, quote unquote, like the guy sitting in the seat going, all right, I watched the movie. But seeing how the sausage is made, going like, oh, well, right, you wrote the story. Here's how I would want to hear it. And then you bring in a different perspective. And not that that's a bad thing. It is maybe you've just shown a way that the other person didn't think about. Yeah. And then you could take that into the acting thing. Like, I think it's sort of one of these things you kind of hear these like, oh, they're so hard to work with. And it's like, well, they make fun of it in movies and sitcoms and things where the actor is like, they're the big deal. And you're like, no, I just do the line like this. And they're like, well, what's my motivation? It becomes all about they've become too self-important rather than being part of the process is sort of like the joke on the funny side.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on that? Have you experienced, have you had to deal with anything like that? You're just like, shut up, dude, this is how I want you to say it. I think you did a great job in directing people. Like, I could tell that your experience, because somebody would read something, and then you'd be like, the way you would say it, I was like, oh, that sounds 1,000 times better. Like, why aren't you acting? I thought that's at different times in that production.
So when I write, when I'm writing something and I'm writing all these characters' dialogues, I tend to read it out loud as I hear it in my head. So when I'm directing, like, I have a way that I've heard it in my head, but every character has my voice, and that's
a struggle.
Yeah, and the better you are as a writer, like, the more you can make them sound unique as their own individual characters, but it's still me in my head. So when I get actors, like, I know how I want to hear it, and I usually get a take or two of that. But I'm more than willing to open it up, change the line. Does it sound right? Does it fit? It sounds weird to say, but does it fit in your mouth? Like, is it that kind of, does it sound like word salad? Does it, is this how you would say it as your character and as you? So I'm always willing to, like, change a line and experiment. As you probably saw with Jeff, who never read a single line the way we wrote it. But his stuff was pure gold. Like, it really worked for the character. It really worked for the story, and it was really good. So some people do it verbatim. Some people do it without looking at the script at all. So it's interesting, but it's always like a give and take. And the the idea is just to get the best of what you can, really.
Yeah, I guess there's the letter of the law and the spirit of the law, right? Like, say it like these are the words that are on the paper, or this is the message I'm trying to get across in the words that I'm using. You're painting a picture. I always think that's the great thing about reading is like somebody wrote this story, but what is the picture in my head in the words that they are painting this picture? And it's probably going to look a little different. And I think that's why some people get like, they build an expectation from a book and then they go see a book adapted to a movie and they're like, oh, that's not what I would think they would look like. Or that's not what I thought would happen. Or they changed that. And why did they have to change it? I don't know. There could be a million reasons, but at the time, that's why. So I think that's an interesting thing. Let's talk about projects. Man. So what are you working on now? Max, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I'm working on a queer romance sci-fi short film with two.
All right,
actors.
hold on, because I'm old, so there's a lot of words in it. All right, queer romance sci-fi short film.
Yeah.
Okay, I nailed it. 4 things.
You got it.
That's a very special category, very niche. So, all right, walk us through it.
Well, I'm working with 2 actors from Bulletproof Baby, Owen and Calvin, as you got to work with them. They're brilliant.
Great guys. They're very fun. And they are theater majors, right, at Westchester University?
Yeah.
Yeah. They should have came on too, but maybe another time. Owen and Calvin, if you're out there listening. Probably not. They're probably still in bed. They're college students.
It's called Dreamline 66.
Dreamline 66.
This guy's going through a really tough time, and he plugs into this like new revolutionary technology where you put on a helmet and a TV surveys your mind to get to show you the most personalized television program possible. Almost like a dream.
Okay. And then hijinks ensues?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So say that again. He plugs into...
He puts on a helmet and these glasses, and he plugs into a TV, and the helmet goes into his subconscious to make a personalized television program. Based on stuff in his subconscious. Ooh. I don't know if I want to watch that show. It's pretty upsetting. Yeah. I think that would be... I like the premise. Where did you come up with that? You just thought this up, or... I found this TV from 1998 in my great-grandmother's garage. So that's how it started, an old TV from 1998? Yeah, I thought it was beautiful, and I was like, I need to do something with this. What was beautiful about it? Now, 98 television, does it have like a big wooden cabinet to it, or... No, it's just... Or that'd be more like 80s. Remember 70s? Like, television was a piece of furniture, dude. It was like this big wood like, that was part of a selling point. If you go back and look at old... Because all that stuff's on the internet now. You go back and look at old retro ads, and it was like this, walnut cabinet. And you're like, walnut? What? Like, that's wood and heavy, and why would I want that? Because it had a big tube and all. It had to house all the things. So not like that. 98. No. So, all right, so big plasticky thing. All right, go ahead. What did you find beautiful about it? Just a big black, like, box, essentially, of a TV. It was covered in dust, and it was just, like, in the corner being ignored. I don't know. I just felt drawn to it. Okay. And so this is interesting to me because this is like musicians. Some people hear a tune. Like I just watched, it was like a brief, the guy who was producing, I think, a lot of the Michael Jackson film or whatever is coming out. And it was a guy who had done a lot of Jackson producing or recording in studio. And he was telling the story about Annie, Are You Okay? So Michael Jackson was like, oh, that was a CPR thing. I don't know if you know that. Like when you go to a CPR class, it was called, I think there's a name. It's called Resusci Annie is the name of the mannequin that you perform CPR on. And part of the thing is you go, hey, is the scene safe? And then you must go up to the unconscious person and go, hey, are you okay? You gently shake them. Do they move? Because it could be somebody who just got
knocked out? Did they slip and fall? Or, are they drunk or hot? Whatever, all these things. And you're making an initial assessment. Hey, are you okay? And you're supposed to say, Annie, are you okay? And so that has a rhythm. Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? And he developed this whole story then based on this rhythm of a couple words from the CPR thing.
They should have asked you to be in the biopic.
Yeah, I will take the money. I would take it. So I think that's interesting. That's how his brain worked. Some people come up with a thing. They hear a tempo, they hear a beat, or they hear a number of words put together, and then they put some people hear a sound, a melody, the harmony, and then they put the story to that. So I think it's interesting. You see this TV, all right, and then go. What leads to this to the development of this in your head? Like, kind of walk me through it. You don't have to tell me the story of the story, but like, tell me you see the TV and you're like, hey, man, this is like, I don't know, it's got your attention.
I also found this like old kayaking helmet in my grandfather's like shed.
Okay.
And it was bright red, and I was like, I could paint this and make it. Now it's blue with a bunch of detailing and things glued to it, but that also inspired it. So just finding these items and knowing that I want to make something emotionally tense. Yeah.
All right. It's a short. How short is short?
Well, I don't necessarily know, but it shouldn't be more than 20 minutes. I'm expecting about 12.
Okay. Interesting.
Season 3.
What's the queer part?
So
is it just the main character is queer?
Yeah, there's only really two characters, Owen and Calvin. And the reason why he's plugging into this technology is because he wants to relive specifically the highs, but consequently relives the lows of his last relationship. So it's sort of about the tension between the couple.
Okay, so he wants to go back and relive some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And is that a good thing or a bad thing? Or you don't want to give it away?
I say, it's a bad thing.
It's a bad thing.
But I kind of want people to make that choice for themselves.
Yeah, I don't know. If you had to relive if you had some kind of gizmo, Eric, that you could put on and go into your subconscious to put together, but you're just watching the television show, right? It's a show. You get to watch it.
Yes, but in the film he's drinking during it, so it...
Probably not a good idea.
I don't want to give it away too much, but it really gets into his mind.
Okay.
So he's feeling it as well.
Yeah. Well, right. I'm sure this technology, we're not far away from that. Have you seen some of like this modern VR stuff?
A little bit.
It's very immersive. It's real crazy. Like, even some of the first gen, like the really high-end second and third generation stuff, you're in it and you're like, even though you see it's a cartoony thing, it was like a zombie shooting game I played, but you're like, the sound is like, oh, you got to turn around and you're like it's really weird. It can really knock off your senses, your sensory perception, and that's the physical part. Let alone this, let's dig up this sediment that has settled in our subconscious and muddy that water, baby. Eric, would you do it?
Yeah, why not?
You would?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. I would. There's a part of me that would want the experience of doing it because it's the experience of like, ooh, I want to see what it's like. But I would think at my age where I'm at, I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know if my subconscious is meant to be. It's meant to, our brain works for a reason like that, like whatever the grand design is it seems like things work out for the right reasons. Maybe not. I don't know. That's interesting. Where would we be able to see this? How far are we from finalizing this? You're in production right now. You're filming.
I hope to be done, because I'm editing as well, so I hope to be done in mid-June before I move to Europe.
That's right. You're moving. I forgot. You're moving to... where are you moving to?
30 minutes outside of Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
So Utrecht, Netherlands.
Yes. And you have a funny story, I think. Well, it was interesting to me. How did you end up wanting to go to Amsterdam?
Yeah, so
And what is the name of the school?
Utrecht University.
All right. And you'll be studying film there?
I hope to double major in media and linguistics.
Media and linguistics, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how did we come to this fascination with Amsterdam?
I took German for 5 years in high school and middle school, so I've been into Germanic languages since I was 14. Mm-hmm. But specifically going to Amsterdam, I just went through a breakup, and I was like, well, I found a job posting, and I took it, and they fed and housed me, and I got to be a receptionist and speak German and learn a little bit of Dutch. Yeah.
Wow. What a cool experience.
I love it.
How long were you there?
A little more than a month.
You want to speak some German?
Hallo, wie geht es dir?
What was your fascination with the German language? I think it's cool when you hear people speak German. I think some people think it's an ugly language because it doesn't. It doesn't. Well, it's just different than like French or Italian, where what they call the Romantic languages. But there's something interesting, I have German heritage, so there's that exists for me. I don't know. There's something about the German language that I find fascinating. I took 1 year of German, and I did horrible. I couldn't tell you anything. My German teacher was cool and everything. It's just I wasn't ready to learn anything at that stage of my life, which is a shame because I love learning now, right? So people are like, well, how do you learn German now? Well, you're 55. It's a lot harder when you're older, just how your brain works. But which we should all learn, like all the languages when we're young. We should just learn languages. So what was your draw to it?
My aunt was she's 16 years older than me, so like sort of close in age. So she was sort of a role model growing up. And when she was in high school, she did the German program and got to do a study abroad kind of thing in high school with an exchange family. And had a wonderful time, and when I was 13, I was like, I want to do that. And I fell in love with it. It's the love of my life, genuinely learning languages, yeah.
Very cool. Chris, are you multilingual?
Oh, God.
I am not, no. I'm one of the people that think...
God? He hates it.
Oh. I don't hate being multilingual. I'm not a fan of I'm one of the people that think German sounds ugly.
Yeah.
But no, I took Latin for years and years, so that was super useful. And then I switched to like Italian. I took French, but I never studied anything long enough to become fluent.
I remember like my German teacher saying like, well, like there's a lot of similarities between languages like Spanish and Italian and even and things. And he goes, but a lot of our English language is derivative of Germanic language. So I was like, oh, well, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, and it's very, and I remember this is the maybe the three things that I remember from German was that, and then he also said that the German language is really hard to learn at first, but it doesn't get harder. Where other languages, it's like there's a progression of whatever you call all the things with linguistics, the conjugation and male and feminine and all that kind of stuff, like those things, like as you get into the language it gets harder and harder, where he was like German's really hard, but once you get it, it's like it doesn't keep getting harder like other languages. Do you find that to be true, or is that baloney?
Oh, sorry, I totally agree. Yeah, a lot of German is compound words, so you learn a word and then you see this really long thing, and it looks intimidating when you first start. But
yeah, like
it's built up.
I was going to try and be funny and say something, but like think of a long Germanic word that means like your black shirt. There's like a whole word for it. On the spot. This is like telling a comedian like, make me laugh. Tell me a joke.
Like the word for light bulb, the direct translation is glow pear.
Glow pear, right, for the shape, because it looks like a pear and it glows. All right, so what's that? Say that in German.
Glühbirne?
Glühbirne.
Yeah.
Ah, sehr gut.
Vielen Dank.
Awesome.
I had a question.
Yeah, well, wake up. Hello. Eric is awake now. All right, good. Let's go.
This didn't be for, well, were you both in the Westchester Film, or Max, was it just you in the Westchester Film Festival?
Just Max.
It was my film, but he was with me, and he had a good part in making it.
So I had two questions. One, what was the submission process like? So what do you have to go through there? And then two, did you want to just talk about what you had in the film fest?
Thank you for asking. I want to tell the whole world this. A lot of, in my experience, the film industry, just submit. There's free festivals. Submit everywhere. The Westchester Film Festival has a small fee that you gotta, pay to enter, but it's totally worth it. And it also helps fund the festival, which is just so valuable to the community and to the town, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of. The film that I had in there was called Pour Concrete in My Wound. Sort of emotionally heavy kind of thing. It's very experimental. It's mostly has to do with trans identity and sort of separating yourself from a younger version of yourself, and all the different versions of you, and trying to understand that, and growing up and trying to find your community.
And now you were at, of course, the opening night thing on Friday. How did that go? What was, of course, we saw you there. We got to interview you there. But how did that go on Friday?
Really good. I'm always so nervous with this kind of thing. But once I was in there, everybody was so kind and really nice to talk to, very helpful. I got some directing advice, got to talk to people about how they make documentaries. Yeah, went really well.
And you did the Filmmakers a couple years ago, right? This was not your first time doing the Film Fest.
Yeah, so I was in the 18th annual one in the Young Filmmakers block, which was an entirely different experience than this year, now being in like the art and experimental section with everybody else. Yeah.
Steve?
I don't know.
That's really all I had.
Headphones
Just a little bit more into the film festival, because it was the third year I got to attend. I attended the last two and did the red carpet and everything, and so it's great getting to meet everyone. I know Steve feels the same. We've met a lot of great filmmakers, directors over the course of the last 2 years.
Yeah, it goes back to that vibe, like I said, about being on your production, Chris. It was like you're around a lot of people that I probably wouldn't normally meet, getting different perspectives, and like meeting that guy Tariq Shaw, the guy who had been like the political prisoner, who then made the movie Don't Play Like Them, I think was the name of his film. I wish I could have talked to him. I don't know where he's from. I would like to reach out and talk to him way more, because I have I wanted to just know more about his story. Like, wow, that's kind of a cool story. And a cool hairdo. He looked like, I don't know, a cool like hairdo. He reminded me of like a character from a film, right? But his life is like pretty crazy story. Like he had been imprisoned and for how long? Like 15 years or something like that?
15 years, yeah.
And then I think he was a musician, and it was, at one point, I remember catching myself being like the cynic, the 55-year-old old white man in me was like, wait, what? You ever hear somebody when they talk about themselves and you're starting to go like, oh, yes, I was it's like, I was a master craftsman at this, and I did that. And I was just like, all right, dude, chill. You know what I mean? It wasn't. Some people never talk about themselves, and that's annoying, because you're like, no, you do really awesome, great things. Like, just speak up, because I want to hear the story. Like, I want to know, and I get it. You might not feel comfortable because of whatever that is, but there's something you have something to share, and that is real influence, right? Inspiration is influence, But I remember catching myself thinking like, what? It was just some of the wording he used, but I think it was just because he was just so true to himself that he felt so confident being like, no, like it wasn't like a brag. It was like, this is who I am and this is what I've done. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Going back, I wish I could have seen the movie. Did you get to see that movie at all?
Yeah, he won
an award.
Yeah, everybody voted, and he won.
The People's Choice Award, I think, is one of the things he won.
Yeah. Remarkable, well-rounded man. Yeah, the story's crazy. Like him getting framed and then put in prison for like 15 years. It's ridiculous.
That was the thing. That story was very interesting to me. Was that was that the story of the film, or was it something completely different?
Yeah, it sort of just talked about who he was and what he did before and after, talking about how he was like a martial arts teacher.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah.
And a musician, and how music was his life, and then he's put in prison.
Yeah. Crazy. When you hear like, oh, yeah, I was wrongly accused, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, dude. Just only because my experience is, 90% of people are not. But some people are. Like, that really is a real thing that exists, and that's horrible. I don't know how to, but that is our system, though. That's a tough struggle right there. But something like that, you hear these stories, and it's like, man, how do you, when people lean into that and go, well, this was my experience that was put in front of me, and what am I taking out of this? Who knows how many people he influenced while he was incarcerated to maybe better them. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the sheep that's, released in a pack of wolves, and like, what's the influence there? Who are you going to change? So that's that. Yeah, that guy didn't. He was an interesting dude. Is there anything else that stands out from the film festival, for your personal experience?
Oh, there were so many good films. If I can recommend 3 as much as I can, Z-Mile is like a musical.
Yeah, we talked to those guys. They seem kind of fun.
We got to interview them. Yep.
Yeah.
So funny. That was really amazing.
Z-Mile.
Panic Switch stop motion animation.
I did get to see that. That was I really did enjoy that. And because I know what it takes to do stop film animation, because I grew up on the old Sinbad and Ray Harryhausen. Like, I love those movies where like the King Kongs and the Thousand Leagues Beyond Under the Sea or whatever. It was like the big giant octopus. They were all stop motion horror sci-fi things. Like, it takes a lot to do.
Yeah.
To do that. And then he had he had the things. He brought them with him.
Yeah.
Right?
Cameron and I actually knew each other when I was in middle school.
Oh, okay.
So it was really exciting to get to reconnect with them.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Panic Switch was really funny, and then Retirement Plan, which was animated, also hysterical.
I don't think I didn't see that.
Remarkable. It is on YouTube, I believe.
Retirement Plan.
Everybody should watch it. It's
Yeah,
so
that one's incredible.
How long is it?
It's really short.
Sure.
7 minutes or something.
What, Chris? What makes it so incredible?
God, it's just really, really well written, and it touches. It's animated and it moves very fast, and it's actually it's narrated by Domhnall Gleeson. Like, he's pretty famous. He's in Star Wars and a bunch of other movies. But
who?
He was in Harry Potter. I don't know. He's red hair, very Irish looking.
Okay.
Very great actor. He narrates it, and it's funny but touching, and the way that it combines the two, and the way that it stays in the same tone, and the way that it's very sort of like ingenious in a simple way. So it's incredible. Yeah.
Okay. Domhnall Gleeson.
Yeah.
Was that?
Oh, Domhnall Gleeson. Domhnall Gleeson.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's like an
Irish.
H and an N in there.
Oh yeah.
Does he play one of the what does he play? One of the Weasleys, I bet.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, because he has red hair. That's the only reason I'm saying that.
Exactly.
And I am just I haven't read the books, but I love the movies. But
yeah.
All right, cool.
Now, Steve, I'm sure, recommends Becoming the Man. That was the movie Steve was in.
Yes. I mean, that was just a little short thing. I don't think there's anywhere. I don't think that's like on YouTube or anything, but it was fun. It was fun to be. That was like the very first thing I got to be a part of, and I was just like, I had asked Mike. I connected with Mike. He seemed like a really cool guy, like one of those guys you meet. You're like, hey man, are we friends? Like you just have that connection. And I was like, oh, can I just be like a guy in the background, like at the record store or something? If you do another thing, and he goes, absolutely. And he put me in this like 2 to 3 second part, which was fun. It was fun. I got to take Jessica, my partner, up to watch that, and just to kind of see her reaction and get that. I couldn't remember the exact line that led up before it, but I was trying to film. I wanted to get the audience reaction of it. because it's like a sight gag, I guess, for lack of a better term, like my tiny 3-second part in it. But it was funny, and it was like he was like, "Hey, so this is what I wrote for you. What do you think?" Like he wasn't sure if I was going to be into it or not. I was like, "Of course, that's totally why not? Let's do it." So that was a lot of fun. So what's next? Obviously, you're going to finish up your thing, Chris. We'll start with you.
What's next?
What's next on the docket?
So we did the reading for Ridley and Winter, which I will fight to see you in the role that I wrote for you. You did great, and
thank you.
And it's very brutal, so it's amazing. But it's just too expensive to fund right now. So what I did was I wrote a new movie called Tom Foolhardy about a brother and sister that have an Airbnb, and they go to it one day because they get a bad review, and they go to clean it up, and they find a dead body. And it's kind of a comedy drama. It's mostly comedy, so that sounds kind of heavy, but really it's just about the relationship between a brother and sister, and they go back to their hometown, and it's, they haven't been there in a long time, and it sort of rekindles some stuff in their past. But we're looking to cast. If you go to bitchinproductions.com, BICHEN.com, we have the casting call. We're looking for 2 women 35 to 45 and at least 1 male 35 to 45. And yesterday I met with the band Candy Flip, local band. I was playing. They've been playing since 15 North days.
Yeah.
I wrote them a part in it, and I spoke to them yesterday, and they're very interested in being in it. So
cool.
We got our first. They're the first people to sign on, but we're in really, really early pre-production because I would like to shoot probably in the fall. We're doing Max's short now. And then I have a short, and then we're going to Europe for a little while because he's moving there. And then when we come back, I would like to, start filming.
Now, is Bitchin' Productions your full-time gig?
No, I'm actually a data scientist.
All right.
I do data analysis for tech companies, which includes Haverford Systems in Downingtown. Shout out to them. They're a camera manufacturer, and their cameras are amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow, cool. So you still have some ties like that in your quote-unquote day job.
Yeah.
Awesome. Max?
Yeah,
You're in the middle of filming.
Yeah, we are like 60% done shooting Dreamline 66. It should be done by the first or second week of May in terms of shooting. And then I'll have about a month for editing. And I think a lot of the heavy lifting of the project is through editing. So I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, and in your movie, in Chris's film, you were a part of that. You did some editing, right?
Just like a very small amount of animation.
And some animation, yeah, which is cool. I think it's a cool part of the film.
Yeah, we're each other's assistant director on each project. So right now I'm his AD, so I hold the lights and I do all the grunt work that he makes me do, and he's rough. I
yell at
him. he cracks the whip, man. If I'm not doing it right,
16-hour shift.
Yeah.
No break.
Wow.
Yeah, we had one cast member fall asleep on set yesterday, or 2 days ago.
That is actually true.
Oh. What's the story? Is it a funny story? Tell the story.
It was like we're sort of shooting the end, so it's mainly the main character reacting to watching the television program. Okay. And I need the secondary character, his ex-boyfriend, to sort of be in the background for 2 shots. So I didn't really need him for like 90% of the shooting. So yeah, he just got really comfortable on the couch and fell asleep.
Took a nap. You son of a gun. All right. Well, listen, things like that happen. But Max and Chris, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. Shout out to Bitchin' Productions. And what was it? Haverford what?
Haverford Systems, Downingtown company. They're really good.
They make camera equipment?
Yeah, and they also
like what kind of like cameras, like snapping pictures, camera equipment, or all the film stuff?
No, not it. So much more. They make like 30x cameras that they have technology like auto tracking, so you can get like if a teacher were in a large room, it would be able to film the room, it'd be able to follow them without them having to sit there and manually do it. Okay. They have really cool technology. I'm not doing it justice. They make a ton of different products, but highly recommended. They're impressive. They're very cool.
Awesome.
Now, if our listeners want to follow you guys in your work, how can they do that? Want to give a plug?
So there's on Instagram and Facebook, it's Bitchin' Productions. You can find our YouTube link, so you can watch Steve and Bulletproof Baby and things like that. And mine is Chris Benner. That's my Instagram handle. And I barely ever accept anybody, so be careful with that one. But the Bitchin' Productions will take on all followers.
All followers, all comers.
My Instagram is maxwell.benner, and then on YouTube you can find the short film that I had in the festival, Pour Concrete in My Wound, on YouTube.
Oh, Pour Concrete on My Wound. Well, I'm going to be watching that because I did not get to see it at the actual film festival.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I hope we continue to get to work together. And I wish you a lot of luck and success with your film that you're working on now. And in your college days coming up. So when do you leave?
June 30th.
June 30th. Wow, going to Amsterdam.
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. And if you have any, you want to do some casting, you can always call in. You can come back on the show at any time. If you're releasing something, if you got something you want to talk about, you guys are part of the fabric of Chester County, and that's what we celebrate here. At WCHE 95.3 FM to 1520 on the AM.
Yep.
And 953wche.com. Check us out.
There we go.
We'll be posting this interview on our podcast part on the website. And, of course, Eric, he usually gives me my interviews, and then I send them out. So I'll email that out when I get it from him, so you guys can share that around however you want to. Also, one last thing. So this is something that kind of hit my head as you were talking about the film you're doing right now, Max. It's called Brainstorm. Have you ever seen it? You probably haven't. I knew that was going to be an answer. Eric definitely hasn't.
Nope.
Chris, have you seen it?
Brainstorm. Is that Edward Furlong?
1983, sci-fi thriller.
Oh, no.
Hour 46 minutes. Christopher Walken is in it.
Love.
Yeah, talk about a brainstorm.
It's Brainstorm. It's this technology where they record you your brain waves and things so other people can experience it.
Oh.
And then somebody dies while they have it on, and they get to experience like what happens in the afterlife kind of thing. So when you said that immediately, I'm like, I remember that movie. I could remember the name. I've been sitting over here typing and trying to look it up because that's how my brain works. It would not let me go. It's called Brainstorm. It's pretty cool. It's like a reel-to-reel technology. It's the military is involved. There's all kinds of other weird, obviously, conspiracy things going on with it. But check it out.
Yeah?
I don't know. Anyway, Max and Chris Benner from the Westchester Film Festival and Bitchin' Productions and all the cool things that they're doing and seeing. Guys, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, we'll take a break, and then we'll be back, everybody.